drawn into the idea that the mind and emotions really are not the foreign installation. The mind and emotions being used by external forces are the foreign installation. Right? We have to resource our own mind and emotions. The original use of the mind was to create strategies to solve problems. That is very much our own. Right? The use of the emotions is for just the experience of the awe of experience itself. You know, that existence is great. Existence is awe-inspiring. And we have that welling up of energy that, is grateful for that experience, and that's emotion, right? It really doesn't have to get angry, but it's just greatly awed, by existence, right? So, the mind and emotions, we really need to retrieve those for our own use, and so we retrieve those by learning to be the cause, and we learn to be the cause by being learning to assemble our own assemblage point. We learn being the cause by learning to self-generate force, and we learn these two by experiencing the stillness and then strategic motions that both teach us what very functionally and practically what the abstraction intent is. We have to take the abstraction of intent and make it practical, make it tangible. Then it becomes real. As an abstraction, we think about it, and it's a nice concept, and we adore Carlos Castaneda for what he wrote about it, but we can yell it out while we're doing tensegrity, but that's not intent. Intent is a functional force that impacts upon things as a cause. It's the motivating force. It's the animating force. It's the force of confidence, right? And that's will evolve the ego into a warrior spirit. The experience of the warrior spirit is that it builds you as you build it. As you're building it, it will build you. So if you're strengthening yourself, you get stronger. That's the spirit in simple terms. So spirit is not something far away that's affecting you from the external. Right? That's the ego's emanation. The spirit is the force of emanations that is coming from you, the strength of your internal emanations. That's spirit, that's vitality, right? And that's something you take with you, right? And in the ocean of infinity, that is something very functional to take with you.
It's interesting you're saying about taking with you, because I had one encounter with infinity, and I asked the question about what must I do to sustain the sound away. And I got, forgive everyone everything. And I went, what, like a Christian? Didn't like the idea. And what came back was, you can't take any of that with you. You can't take But all the blame and all of that stuff is all to do with being a victim, being in the effect state. So you can't take that with you. So you have to let that go in order to be in a cause state. And you have to let go of having been affected. You have to let go of blame. You have to let go of a certain type of judgment in order to have discernment to navigate for yourself. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. So it's only what you hold on to or what you. So there are things you can take with you, but there are things that you can't.
Well, it's that's in the realm of power. You know, realm of power can do unusual things. We don't understand those being semi-powerful or non-powerful beings. What you can and can't do, that's a matter of power.
But if you you could discern what kind of what it is that we accumulate through our sentience that could actually take us, carry us forward. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to leave it behind. And we could discern the kind of stuff which is just like a sack full of ants on our back. It's just like glue sticking to us. You could discern the difference, can't you, in the different types of energy. The kind of energy that if you perceive someone as having wronged you, you carry the impression of that having been wronged. You don't manage to recapitulate and discharge that. Then, while you carry that, that's dead weight. You can't take that.
Well, that returns you. It recycles you. That's why, there's a lot, we accumulate a lot of that, and that's basically the dominance of the ego's emanations, trying to keep you fixated in this world, and then recycling you back. It's, it's how it feeds an appetite that is unquenchable, insatiable. You never really satisfy the hungers and the dream of the world. Because until you gain a foothold in another dreaming memory, that takes dominance, right? And that changes your world. So that's why we need experience with the assemblage point and the dreaming memory. So the tangibility that you're feeling in the gateway of light, that is in essence the dreaming memory. You just have to come to terms with it. Learn how to manipulate it. Then, while you're manipulating the tangible density of your energy, you're manipulating the dream and memory. And you might be able to take it into other dreaming memories, with the movement of the assemblage point. The dreaming membrane is just a place where it sort of catches assemblage points and allows them to dream. Right? Dream a real world, but a dream nonetheless.
Richard Griggs' word ambition. He raised a question about ambition, and does it have a part to play?
Well, if you're like the bending of the bamboo, right? The bamboo bending or the tree existing, has no ambition except to the tree grows. There's only Everything has ambition, right? And the bending bamboo has an ambition to bounce back, right? Everything's ambition. Unbending intent is an ambition. You know, is feeling the assemblage point is a ambition. You know, reconciling personal power, that's ambitious. Warrior path is a very ambitious path. You know, we're taking on much of which are impossible tasks. You know, so there's a lot of ambitions. You know, some paths aspire to having no ambitions. It's an experience you can go through. You know, and having no ambitions may just lead you to what is more functionally ambitious. You know, it's getting to the stillness, right, and seeing intent. But there's still ambition. Intent is about ambition. Intent is not a static force. Intent is very ambitious. Intent is intent is to animate, to bring life to
So,
create something from nothing.
so is it? I mean, is intent like the Force in Star Wars? It's got a light side and a dark side.
Well, there have been. Well, there's the old seers, yeah, that used it for a dark purpose. But there's a story with that in the understanding of dark sorcery. You know, dark sorcery has its motive, has its ambition that you know was very difficult to produce. I think I talked on this in an earlier part of this uh, video, right when we were in the park. Uh, that it has an ambition that it wasn't quite able to keep uh, up with, right? And that was for redemption. So when an energy goes astray, the experience of redemption is ecstatic. And it transfers all that ecstasy into everything it transferred its darkness into. Right? So the only problems the old seers had with it was keeping up the process where the dark sorcery could go into that redemptive area. They weren't able quite to keep it up. They didn't have that continuity of consciousness. They didn't have that unbending intent that could push it there. So it became dysfunctional, and it degenerated into what it is today, right? Into a process of recycling souls back to feed an insatiable uh, 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 appetite. Right? The Aztecs did it, right? The Nazis did it, utilizing human sacrifice to build thought forms of and entities of domination. Right? Religions are doing it nowadays, right? Because and rather than to enlighten, they want to dominate. Politics is doing it today, right? Because even our great ideals of political freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, etc., you know, are degrading. You know, going into tyranny and fascism, into cult of personality. Right? So, but it's all for a purpose. You know, we get to compare, you know, what we really want out of the world, And so if we come to some sort of agreement, we could build a new world. We can build a world without a gap. And maybe reinstitute what the Death Defier calls the Toltec Renaissance, where the portals into hyperspace become open again. And the planet and the trees start talking to us. Aliens, come and visit us. You inorganic beings come and inspire us with great knowledge and luminosity. Here in the physical world, not just in our subjective universe, but then once we build a world without a gap, there is no division between subjective and objective. Those lines are easily erased. Those are just artificial boundaries that we've created over uh, millennia of programming.
Language would have to change, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, or we might be more conversive in many different languages. Language might be easier to handle because uh, one of the energetic configurations is a language crystal that's evolved over lifetimes, where you begin to not only understand and adopt other languages in this lifetime, you can master them, but you have an intuitive language. You know the language of the dolphins and the whales, and you can utilize that for transmitting empathic experience.
What about this being able to learn other languages? I'd like to be better at learning other languages. But have you approached that?
Well, some people have built that. It's all these are creative, activities. So it's building the crystalline organic structures in your and magnifying your assemblage point. Because assemblage point is just a clump of energy, right? And it's a clump that produces a glow. And when it moves, it has that much impact and significance that you move with it. It takes you along for a ride. So and its experience is not limited by the confines of this world or by time and space in general. So it's able to move into very non-ordinary spaces.
That's
And so as you build the assemblage point, which is just an assemblage of an assemblage, this is a creative activity. Right? So the assemblage point from person to person, it varies. Some people have a more complex assemblage point with a greater glow, more luminous fibers in it that grasp complexity in particular venues because they've been working on it for millennia. And this you can carry with you. It's not as easily destroyed by the eagle's emanations, as something like memory or language. The English language is easily destroyed by the eagle's emanations. Right? Memory is easily destroyed by the eagle's emanations in Alzheimer's disease. That's a degrading of the human form, where you start losing your memory. You start losing your ability to relate, to make connections. And that's what the assemblage point does. It makes a connection so you can understand. It makes a sentient connection so that knowledge can be acquired. And you can only acquire it by the complexity or simplicity of your assemblage, because that determines your ability to grasp complexity or simplicity. And sometimes simplicity is more functional than complexity. Sometimes complexity is more functional than simplicity. Complexity has a tendency to be more functional when you're dealing with terms of infinity. But being able to simplify things is a very functional thing, because then you can put it in an understandable picture rather than having fragmented images.
You can extrapolate.
Yeah, you can extrapolate. Thank you.
I think this has been tremendous.
Yeah, I'm about done, I think.
Thank you very much, Mark.